Hello, everyone. I'm David Marshall, along with Brian Ducharme, and welcome to VMblog's coverage of the KubeCon CloudNativeCon Europe 2025 event taking place in London. And today we're excited to have with us Gabriele Bartolini, VP of Cloud Native at EnterpriseDB. Welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone. Hi, David. Hi, Brian. It's a pleasure
Hi.
to be here.
Well, we're looking forward to talking to you about the show and about the company. And I guess if you could just kick things off, if you would introduce your company and give us a quick overview of EDB.
Absolutely. So when we talk about EDB, we talk about the leading company about Postgres data and AI. So EDB continues to lead the development of Postgres. You know, Postgres is the most used database in the world and one of the most successful open source projects. And EDB has been on the lead since pretty much the start. Okay, so for over 15 years, we have been consistently the major contributors, and we can consider ourselves like the contributors of at least 30% of the code for Postgres, including important stuff for business continuity like streaming replication, disaster recovery, high availability, and so on. But beyond contributions to Postgres, we also deliver EDB Postgres AI, which is an enterprise-ready Postgres platform supporting both all workloads, so transactional, analytical, and AI across hybrid environments. So we believe that we can solve AI problems with better support for database. So the idea with EDB Postgres AI is to break the silos and break the barriers between all these workloads to enable a faster generation of information from available data. So whether it's in any cloud environment, basically. So keeping in mind, for example, security, compliance, and availability. So the idea, again, is to bridge the gap between operational, transactional, and analytical systems to elevate Postgres as the default data store from a strategic point of view in an organization that can support AI and advanced analytics. Then we can also talk about our contributions, not only in the Postgres space, but also in the Kubernetes one, which is particularly important for KubeCon. And I'm really happy to talk about CloudNativePG, which is pretty much right now my main project. Okay, CloudNativePG is an operator that brings Postgres into Kubernetes the Kubernetes way, as we say, and is just become a CNCF Sandbox project. It is de facto an operator for Postgres designed specifically for cloud native environments. And it's built for automation, security, observability. It automates failover, scaling, backups, and it's all declarative, which is very important for infrastructure as code and GitOps nowadays. Right now it's become the most used operator for Postgres in the world. I think we reached 5,500 stars a few days ago, and the adoption is increasing. Fueled also by the introduction in the CNCF Sandbox. So right now we are still completing onboarding, but KubeCon London for us will be the first KubeCon, and where we are maintainers of a CNCF project. So it's really exciting for us. So the fact that now this is an official CNCF Sandbox project is increasing the adoption.
Thanks for that overview of the company. For people that are going to be attending the show, what would you say are some of the specific problems that you see them facing that your company solves for them?
Yeah, so right now, when you run a database, you expect, as a user, you expect day two operations. Okay, so that's why, for example, many application developers go use DBaaS solutions. But right now, there's the opportunity to achieve what we call cloud neutrality at EDB. So you can bring the database back in Kubernetes, but this comes with challenges. Of course, I mean, when we talk about Kubernetes, we don't talk about an application. We talk about managing infrastructures. Okay, so it's fundamentally much more difficult. Okay, so these are primarily the main challenges we see. Knowledge of Kubernetes, but also knowledge of stateful workloads, because there's still the perception that you shouldn't run databases in Kubernetes, but that perception is a long way gone from a technical perspective. So the challenge is primarily, change this perception that you can run stateful workloads in Kubernetes, and that you can achieve consistency, persistence, and high availability like you've never experienced before with Postgres. So CloudNativePG makes the whole experience truly cloud native, thanks to the operator pattern, where we can address all the needs for day two operations, like I was saying before, failover, replication, observability, and so on. But also from a security point of view, because security is very important in Kubernetes, you need to understand immutability. You need to understand that you cannot change the environments. You cannot install packages in a running Kubernetes environment. You need to run container images that already exist. And the model is entirely declarative. And the other way that we see, it's actually a good trigger for conversations, is our unique approach to Postgres in Kubernetes. For example, we don't use stateful sets. We manage PVCs. And we don't use an existing failover manager like, for example, Patroni, which is very common. We just taught Kubernetes how to manage Postgres. So we extended the Kubernetes API to also control the state of a Postgres cluster that's made up of a primary and multiple standbys. So all of these, ultimately, it is important because all these changes require people to change. And every change comes with some resistance. So the buy-in, for example, for DBAs is to actually elevate their life by stop doing the repetitive stuff that can be automated, and focus on the stuff that only human beings can do. So work more closely with SREs, work more closely with developers to help them better understand the needs for a database. And this is what we call T-shaped profiles. Okay, DBAs need to be vertical on Postgres, but also get the horizontal general knowledge about Kubernetes. Okay. Then developers have the possibility to adopt the microservice database. So this is something that is unprecedented, because you can, as a developer, own the database. So you don't need to ask anyone permission to create your own databases, because in Kubernetes, you can do it now in a very secure and automated way, and you own the changes of the database. So the database becomes part of your pipeline, development pipeline, so that you can achieve continuous delivery, continuous deployment, and achieve high velocity to provide your customers with many features a day that include also database change management. Otherwise, you can adopt a simple solution, which is the database as a service. So you ask the infrastructure team or the database team to provide you with a database. Most importantly, just to conclude this question, it's about cloud neutrality. So the opportunity here is to see that you're free now to break all the silos imposed by 15 years of cloud, and you can easily achieve multi-cloud, hybrid, on-prem, thanks to Kubernetes, and mitigate the risk of vendor lock-in, even at the cloud service provider, and even at the database provider, because now you can move the database inside Kubernetes.
Now, to sort of complete painting the picture that you've already given us, can you walk us through a real-world customer success story that showcases the impact of your technology?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, first, one of the good things of being part of the CNCF is that there's a common convention to use the so-called adopters file. So one idea to get you can get an idea of the users. Everyone can get an idea of the adopters of CloudNativePG by going to the adopters.md file and the root directory of the project, and you can see, the increasing list of adopters. But there are two that I'm particularly attached to as an EDB also member, and they are completely different. One is IBM Cloud Pak. They are official adopters of CloudNativePG, but they also use EDB because it is important to say that, in my opinion, I want to use this as an opportunity that by using EDB, companies also help us continue developing both Postgres and Kubernetes. And also they can influence the next features for the operator. And this is what happened with IBM Cloud Pak, which, they've been using our operator for almost 4 years. They've been an early adopter, and they've always come up with good, new features that they needed. And that's how we could, direct our development. And this is an example for every customer that want to join this world. If also you get EDB, you have the chance to influence not only CloudNativePG, as I was saying before, but also Postgres and Kubernetes. So IBM needed a robust Kubernetes database solution to support their enterprise AI ML workloads. So they deployed EDB Postgres on OpenShift and were able to offer this in a kind of DBaaS methodology. Okay, and they chose CMPG because they were also betting on the sandbox process, but particularly because of the seamless integration with OpenShift and declarative configuration of Kubernetes in general, the long-term support provided by EDB, and the backup and recovery capability. And nowadays, there's a good video on our website about this, where IBM says how they use it across hundreds of OpenShift clusters and how solid and scalable the technology is. And the other one is Katim. Katim is a leader in secure communications for government and enterprises, and they needed a high security Kubernetes native database to support their mission critical applications. So they initially used self-managed Postgres, but they found it difficult to scale and maintain in Kubernetes. And they replaced the existing operator that they were using and replaced it with CloudNativePG because it was more performing, more scalable, and easier to maintain. And because it also integrates, for example, PG Vector, which is a very common extension for Postgres to manage vector databases, which is very important for AI and machine learning workloads. So as you can see, I just picked two. I would talk about more, but I would like to talk about more, but I don't have permissions. But hopefully, the adopters file will give everyone more clarity about the scale and the adoption of this operator.
Now, KubeCon seems to be growing at an incredible rate, getting larger and larger every year. In that sea of vendors that will be out there, how does EDB kind of differentiate their technology from the others, and what kind of makes you unique?
Yeah, I think I would say Postgres. And given that it's KubeCon, it's Postgres in Kubernetes. So the work we're doing, and I think this is very important to talk about, is that it's not enough what all the technologies right now are offering. Okay, but the more adoption we see, the more use cases, the more boundaries we are kind of pushing. Okay, in the intersection between Postgres and Kubernetes. So that's why it is important for ADB to be leader, not just in Postgres like it was until a few years ago, but also in Kubernetes. We have people that developers of Kubernetes storage, and storage is the most important part of the database. And then with CloudNativePG, we kind of unite these two worlds. But it's only by being present in these two fascinating and different communities, like the Postgres one, which is 20 plus years old, and the very dynamic and new Kubernetes one and CloudNative one. It's only by being present and let's say a strong force in these two worlds that we can generate innovation, and that's why I think this is our unique position, and we are the true experts for Postgres in Kubernetes. And I think we have shown it with CloudNativePG, what we are capable of doing, and we are excited to get many users, many customers talk to us to improve this technology more and more in the future. So we can definitely talk about Postgres. We can definitely talk about CloudNativePG, how to improve it, how it is. But let's start from here. This is a CNCF Sandbox project, and KubeCon is the right place to talk about this open core solution that provides access to EDB products and EDB services for the enterprises.
Now, you did a really great job throughout this whole conversation talking about technology, what makes it unique, and really giving us a deeper dive. At the show, when an attendee comes up to the booth, what are the specific innovations or features that you guys will be highlighting at the booth? Is there anything that you haven't already talked about around your technology that you want to showcase here?
Yeah, so for example, the last year we have been trying to address the need of, banks. Okay, banks have this need that every 3 to 6 months they need to, schedule moving the database or the Kubernetes cluster. They have an active and a passive Kubernetes cluster, and because of business continuity, they need to move the active state from one cluster to the other. Okay, so how does the database fit in this scenario? So we built, and this is a unique feature of CloudNativePG, what we call declarative demotion and declarative promotion of a Postgres cluster. So you can implement a symmetric architecture between two Kubernetes clusters where you have an active cluster of Postgres in a Kubernetes cluster. I know cluster is terrible, but that's what I have to use. Got a primary and two standbys locally that provide high availability, but then you can use Postgres replication to continuously synchronize the state of Postgres in another data center using the same architecture with what we call designated primary and cascading standbys that are ready to be promoted when you need it. This could be an unexpected event, and in that case, you might have data loss, but we're talking about a disaster of the entire Kubernetes cluster. Or you can have this scheduled maintenance operation where you move the active state to the other data center. And so we did this. You can declarative demote one or more Postgres clusters in a Kubernetes cluster, they all become standbys. And then you can, at that point, promote all the others in the other data centers. And automatically, the previous ones will attach and start serving as replicas, reproducing the same symmetric architecture, but reversed. Okay, so this is, in my opinion, the biggest feature we developed last year, but we also enhanced logical replication. If you want, for example, to move away from any cloud provider, you want to move away, let's say, from RDS into Kubernetes, you can do it with zero cutover time, thanks to logical replication, and it's all declarative. Okay, but also we would like to talk about what we are working on for version 126, primarily major in-place upgrades. So if you want to upgrade Postgres from version 15 to 17, and it can be done in place with the new version, or improving, for example, management of extensions in a declarative way, or, but this is very specific, startup and readiness probes for replicas, which can open up very interesting scenarios, but I leave it up for a later discussion.
So what key trends are you seeing taking shape in 2025 and going into 2026? And how is your roadmap being aligned with these developments?
Yeah, so I already talked about cloud neutrality, so I will not go over that again. I just want to say that a recent report from Data on Kubernetes community showed that databases are number one workload in Kubernetes, followed by AI and machine learning. This is because AI and ML are fueling the need of databases. Okay, that's why databases are number one workloads. And our development is all focused on this stuff, as you saw before.
Now, as Brian discussed a bit earlier, the show expo floor is going to be packed with quite a number of different vendors. For the folks who visit the EDB booth at KubeCon, what's the key takeaway that they should take away? What message should they leave with about EDB after they visit your booth?
Yeah, I mean, the most important message is that databases are no longer an exception to Kubernetes adoption. So from a technical standpoint, we are beyond that. There's also a DOK talk we are giving where we actually ask questions about how we can make decision makers understand this better and increase the adoption furthermore. But it's really time to rethink how we run databases, and Kubernetes and CloudNativePG should be part of your infrastructure and your organization if you want to run Postgres nowadays.
I guess for people that can't be at the show, is there a possibility that you can give us kind of a quick demo of the product?
Sure. That's the whole goal of Kubernetes. You can run it even on your laptop. You just need Docker and Kind. So what I'll quickly show is I will set up a Kubernetes cluster in Kind. I will install the operator. I create a cluster, and I'll go through some of the main resources that the operator creates, and I'll show the most, important feature of the operator, which is automated failover. So it means that the primary goes down. How does the operator react? What happens? And we'll see how in a few seconds the standby is promoted and the applications will be automatically redirected to the new primary.
Let's start from the CloudNativePG homepage. Let's click on documentation. Then let's get the latest stable version and then installation and actually quick start. So the quick start tells you, how to set up a local playground using Minikube or Kind. We will use Kind. Okay, let's open a shell. I already prepared tmux here. So as you can see, the requirements on my laptop are Kind, kubectl, and the CMPG plugin, which is the CLI of CloudNativePG. So the first step is to create a Kubernetes cluster with Kubernetes in Docker Kind. Then let's go back to the docs. Let's follow the instructions here. We need to install CloudNativePG. There are several ways. We will use the manifest. So let's copy and paste. Kind has been created. So let's deploy the operator and let's wait for the deployment to be rolled out. Then the next step is to deploy a Postgres cluster. I will use the example here. Of course, this is conventional of a configuration. As you can see, there's just a few lines, but CloudNativePG allows you to configure pretty much every parameter. So I'll get the URL here. This is done. The operator is deployed. As everything else in Kubernetes, I can create it with an apply command. So let's deploy the cluster. And in the other sections, what I'll do here, I will get the endpoints. And here I will get the pods. So as you can see now, the operator is downloading the image for Postgres and is starting the pod. Now here in the second section, I will use a very fancy feature of CNPG plugin, which is the logs command. What's happening now here is I'm actually tailing all the logs coming from every instance in the cluster, and the logs pretty command is pretty much merging the logs coming from all these instances and ordering them in a chronological order, so we can get an idea of what's happening in the cluster. This is a very neat feature of CloudNativePG. So another useful command is the status command of the plugin that gives us information about the cluster status. As you can see here, everything is ready. We've got 3 instances. Every standby is replicating. So what I'm going to do now is connecting to the database using again the CNPG plugin, the PSQL command. And what I'll do, I'll create a table, guitarists, okay, and I will insert a couple of records. These are my favorite guitarists. And let's put Eric Clapton as usual. Then what I can do now is make sure that the records, the guitarists have been inserted. So this is okay. This is the primary. I'll now connect to the replica. Now we'll use the replica option for the PSQL command. So I'm now connected to any of the two. Okay, I don't know whether it doesn't matter if it's the first or the second standbys. And as you can see, I've got all the records on the standby because this is host standby, so the replicas can be read. And let's try and insert a new record here. Let's see if the standby allows me to do it. And as you can see, it prevents me from doing it. So I cannot, of course, add records in a standby. So now I will check which one is the primary. And here it's cluster example 1. And I will simulate now a primary instance failure. and witness how CloudNativePG implements automated failover. So what I'll do is delete the pod, and you can see what's happening in the pods and endpoints area. You can see that at some point we didn't have a primary, okay, but immediately after another one was promoted, okay, the one with IP 11. So let's check. So IP 11 should be instance number 2. Let's check with the status command which one is the primary. As you can see, primary number 2. So this is the end of the demo. Of course, you can do much more. What I'm going to do now is destroy everything. Thank you.
Well, thanks for that great demo. Where can people go if they want to find out more about EDB and some of the things you talked about today?
Okay, so definitely the website of EDB. There's a section on Kubernetes, a section on EDB Postgres AI, also our blog. We also have a newsletter from our engineering department that contains a lot of stuff about what cool stuff that we do in all these areas. And finally, the CloudNativePG website. So CloudNativePG is, as I said, a CNCF Sandbox project. Everyone can join, can participate, and this is most welcome, essentially. So just join the community and participate.
Great. Well, thanks for taking the time to speak with VMblog, and we hope you have a great show in London and look forward to it.
Thank you very much. Thanks, David. Thanks, Brian.
All right. Thank you.